Thank you, Julia, for that sick fade into this .5 episode of Truth, Beer, and Podsequences.
Cincy Brewery news.
Cincy Brewery news. So this is, November 8th?
It is.
All day?
All day.
Okay, November 8th, all day. Wanted to, first of all, give a big shout-out and talking about brewery news, shout-out and congratulations to Nine Giant for placing first in the Festival of Barrel-Aged Beers, or as people in the industry call it, FOBAB.
Yes.
For the wild beer category, Brett category for Trendy Brett Saison.
Yeah, congratulations to them. I know that there were a couple local breweries that were up there, and Nine Giant is the only one that at least I saw that placed. But huge congratulations and shout out to everyone locally who submitted a beer, who went up and traveled and participated in the event. Cincinnati just keeps bringing home medals. It's fantastic to see. Yeah.
All we do is win.
No matter what.
That's right.
Yeah.
Other brewery news.
Yes.
Some places announced some stuff about food and food partners. So thought we'd just come together and just spend a few minutes talking about food and breweries and what's new, and then maybe talk a little bit about several years ago and the shift into not just the tap room, but food as well.
Mm-hmm. So, right, because anymore, kind of like our conversation with Jim from 2 weeks ago, anymore it's not as important to say, do they have good beer at the brewery? It's, do they have food? More and more you hear that, and if places don't have food, and that could be bar food, that could be pretzels, chips, whatever, but people want to know that if they go somewhere to drink, they have an option to eat as well. Probably to help them to continue to drink more. I know that's the case for me.
That could happen. But
yeah.
Drink more, spend more time there.
Absolutely.
You could have sometimes a little bit longer of a conversation around a bowl of chips and salsa, with a couple of friends, rather than a couple of friends getting together, having a beer, and then having to go somewhere else to find some sort of snack food.
Right, absolutely. So what I want to start this off with are the kind of 5 most recent breweries that have announced food options, either directly in the tap room or kind of permanent, semi-permanent fixtures for their breweries, and then just kind of dive a little bit into the importance of it, basically. So Urban Artifact, this has been a month or two now, I believe, something like that. They have Pata Roja Taqueria every Thursday through Saturday from 5 to 10 p.m. So you can get some amazing street tacos. I believe they have a tent set out in their beer garden. I don't know if they're inside the tap room or just outside, but that's amazing. Grainworks has partnered with Mama Bear Mac as their in-house food provider. Braxton Covington announced that Dewey's is going to be kind of their food provider. I believe they're going to be outside of the tap room, but delivered directly in, beginning in 2023. Listerman Brewing is partnering with Tickle Pickle. They were planning to open earlier this month, but whatever. So
it's funny, Tickle Pickle. Nobody.
It is very funny. It's absolutely funny. But yeah, Listerman Brewing is partnering with Tickle Pickle to be their in-house food provider. There were a couple kitchen upgrade delays, but that should be happening sometime in November. And Alexandria Brewing, they had someone. It kind of fell through, details, whatever, but they are still working on it. So they will probably be the next local brewery that we know of that has some type of permanent, either in-house, directly next door, whatever food provider for them. Yeah.
Not only is it for a person who just wants to go and have a pretzel, or a couple of people that want to sit around a bowl of chips and salsa or some sort of shareable appetizer, what it does is it opens you up for larger groups, right? So you can have a large group decide that they're going to give you advance notice, they're going to get off work, they're going to have maybe a little bit of a holiday happy hour, and they're going to pre-order appetizers or pre-order appetizers, mains, maybe desserts or something of that nature, depending on what you're providing as a food provider.
This is the mysterious guest voice, but what are the places that need a food option the most in the city that haven't had one yet?
Part of me wants to say...
Not to put you on the spot or anything.
No, because I was thinking about this. Part of me wants to kind of learn.
Rheingeist. Rheingeist needs to get that all figured out.
I feel like they keep kind of coming and going with a food option there. So Rheingeist absolutely up there. Part of me wants to say West Side, but you have Nation right across the street. You have the 2 restaurants being built right next door, and they have been incredibly good and consistent with their food trucks. But with food trucks, sometimes things happen to where last minute they don't have something. They have enough places close enough to them that I don't think it's an issue. But at the same time, it'd be nice to not have to walk across 2 streets to go to Nation to get some food and then to walk back. It would be nice if there was. And again, when the new restaurants literally right next door open up, that could change all of that. Right. So I would say Rheingeist absolutely, because again, they're iffy. They haven't been super consistent with having something.
Well, but I don't get there often enough to know. Is there a dedicated space?
There is.
Yes.
There is.
And with a tube.
Yes.
It used to be a burger tube. It would shoot burgers out from the basement.
Can you imagine them doing that with the chili cheese dogs and stuff right now?
Mess.
Who has to clean those
So there
tubes?
is there's a full kitchen restaurant space.
Yeah.
Downstairs, yeah.
Yeah. And they have like a
that
little.
As far as I know, they own.
I think so. I mean, it feels like they would own it, but yeah. I don't know. Other breweries, Urban and Humble Monk, I mean, just because they're both right there, which again, you have a couple of restaurant options a street or 2 over, but ordering something, walking somewhere to get there, that's not what we're kind of talking about or looking for.
Does Urban have a kitchen space or no?
No.
No, I don't think so.
They did the pizza thing for a while, but I still think that was slightly off-site. Or off of the main.
I think it was in like the rectory building there, right?
That's what I thought,
But they must have owned the oven or something and took it with them. I don't know.
Right. There was something weird about that.
Because that plays into some of what I was talking about. I mean, even larger for events, because they host large events there, right? I mean,
And I
people
think they
get
just
married
cater
there.
stuff in. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, if you had your own in-house catering option, whoa.
Well, but that also pulls into the question of, if you own and run a brewery, do you also want to own and try to run a kitchen? Because those are
It's a
2
cop
different
out
businesses.
though. Like
It is, but
if you own and operate a brewery because you want to make beer, does that mean you also want to own and operate a distributor? No. Does that mean you also want to own and operate a bar? No. But you do. Guess you do now. Those are things that you have to do.
Yeah.
But it is. It's do you want to put your resources into also paying someone to run that food side of the space, or do you want to, the air quotes for those not on the live stream, like contract out that room or that place in your building to someone that's all they do, and you don't have to necessarily worry about it.
Yeah, but
always have to worry about it.
Well,
yeah, you do.
It's a whole gray fuzzy. It's definitely not a black and white.
You do, and your revenue from that. I mean, whatever the margin is, and a food margin is, it's minor. But what you do is you're able to, again, provide an experience, a service, and that's really what you're doing, is you're providing service and experience, and people will show up, and you have more opportunities, and that's really more of the point, right?
Right. Are you more likely to go to a brewery that has food, and I'll say more than just like bags of chips and microwave pretzels, like an actual food option versus a place that doesn't?
Or if you knew during a certain part of the season or a certain part of the year, you were booked out for your event space because you had catering along with your event space, that's huge. Not only is that money on those days, but the residual, the after effects of being able to expose people to a place that may not
ingrains people into you as
exactly.
a place.
Correct.
Exactly.
Right. Like I love the variety, and I'll kind of go back to West Side Brewing with this. I love the variety of food trucks that they have. But at the same time, there's no consistency for me to where it's not like I can go there and always get wings or always get a burger. It's, well, what food do they have today, and do I feel like that? I might still go for a pint, but like we were saying earlier, I might only stay for 1 or 2 pints, where if there was that consistent
You're also
food
hoping
option.
that there's a truck there that day
Correct.
that didn't cancel. Or
Sure,
you're hoping
sure.
that the truck is open already. A lot of things with
and
food
they didn't
trucks.
sell out and all that. Sure.
If you're a place like Westside and you open at noon on a Tuesday, guess what? There's no food truck at noon
No,
on
they don't show up
Tuesday,
until like
ever,
5. No,
ever.
no.
So
right.
You're up a shit on my lap creek. Does this episode air before or after the other one?
Probably
It'll be after. It'll be after. So, yes. So the food options at the Schmidt on my lap lawn next to Moorline Lager House. Yeah, but no, it's very interesting because I feel like when the Cincinnati craft brewing scene really first took off, no one had any expectations about food being available. Again, maybe some chips, pretzels, little.
Well, and I think part of
bites.
that, I mean, apologize for interrupting.
No,
you,
not at all.
Part of that is when some of these breweries started, you couldn't even have a tap room.
Correct.
And then it became very quickly you should have a tap room, and then it became very quickly after that you should have food too.
I guess I'll clarify what I was saying is the tap room part of that, to where people could actually come to your place and sit and drink, not just the brewery. So that was a little bit of a misspeak on my part for what I meant. But it is, I'll find that, my Josh and I will be like, oh, let's go to a brewery. And it's like, okay, well, who has food or what food truck is here or there? And that really does dictate where we go. So seeing more and more breweries get those options in place is fantastic.
I mean, the example is Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel was the first tap room to open in the city. They were the first-ish brewery to open in the city, depending on how you look at it. They were the first local brewery. And they also now have almost completely transitioned into this restaurant space. They understood what people were really wanting when they go and they sit down and they hang out somewhere. And they dove in headfirst into that, into their interpretation of that, and food is first.
So how much do you think the food played into them still being around today? Do you think they would still be around, still be as present in the craft beer scene?
Yeah.
Well,
if they didn't have
they've
that dedicated
retracted
food?
from their distribution presence.
But they Mount Carmel is one of those places that they will always figure out a way to exist in whatever craft beer looks like.
Okay, that's
and
fair.
craft beer may change again, and it'll keep shifting and evolving, and they will find a way to be part of that.
Do you ever worry, and this is for both of you, that I'm trying to think of a good way to word this question, and I feel like everything that comes into my head doesn't sound exactly how I want to ask it, but do you ever worry that with I don't say the focus is shifting to food at all, but do you ever worry that the Cincinnati brewery scene will end up feeling more like a restaurant scene that just has good beer?
It's a great question. I'm curious to hear Marco's answer, because I definitely have mine.
I think it's going to be one of those things where every brewery has to decide for themselves the way their space is going to feel. I don't think if we fast forward 10 or 12 years from now, every brewery or the majority of breweries in the Cincinnati craft beer scene is going to feel like a BJ's Brew House. Mm-hmm. I don't. I do not think that. However, they could be known just as much for their food as they are for their beer. And as long as we continue to have breweries that make fantastic beer, are present at festivals that get accolades, as long as we continue as a brewery scene to really care about how good our beer is. And that's the other thing too, like you were saying about food. For many people, food is first. For a lot of people, it's got to be good beer and good food. For a lot of people, it's just, I just need a beer and food. But as long as the beer community in Cincinnati still cares about how good the beer is, I could definitely see a shift to where food elevation, and I believe we're on the cusp of that, by the way. And I mean, I participated in a work event that once this place that I don't work at opens, it's probably going to be the best food at a place that you can get from a a distillery that also has the same umbrella of beer brands. I mean, short ribs,
but
steaks. This is going to be like phenomenal type stuff.
But do you ever worry that someone, and this is like you, global you, not you specifically, that people are going to say, "Oh, let's go to the." Sorry, can I say that? Or do you care?
The beep.
I'll add a beep. To the blank restaurant and not to the blank brewery, the blank distillery, the blank seltzery, whatever in the world you want to say. Like, do you ever worry that instead of calling it a brewery, a distillery, a tap room, a brew pub, it's going to be, oh, let's go to the restaurant?
Who gives a shit what they call it?
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fair.
I don't mind that at all.
It was more just the question, just conversation. Yeah.
Call me Susie. I'm still going to take your money.
Late for dinner.
as this beer scene and this community keeps evolving and keeps growing, we're going to get more places that are food first, or are brew pubs, or are restaurants that also make their own beer. That's going to happen.
Sure, yeah. I don't deny that at all. Right.
That doesn't mean that along with that, we're not going to be able to then have those places that are like, you know what? Like, all these places have food, and screw that. Like, we're not going to have food. We're going to be weird. We're going to just make beer, or we're just going to be a distillery. Or we're just going to make.
So things are going to move into everyone
just going to make
has
seltzer.
Food, and then,
maybe there will be a place that just pops up. It's like, you know, we are a seltzery. Like, that's our thing. We just make seltzer. We just make non-alcoholic beer.
Why not?
Perfect.
Right, sure. Why not?
Sake,
cool. The more
whatever that thing is.
You really want that?
I do. But as the scene keeps growing and we keep getting more and more places, it opens the door for places to do things that you shouldn't be able to do. But so because it all becomes part of the same thing then. Mm-hmm. It's like if you're a restaurant and you want to make a weird dish, you can't, because you have to get people to come in your door
to get the regular dishes first before.
But once those regular dishes exist, then you can do something weird. And the same goes for beer. You can't just make some kind of stupid beer. You have to have something that people line up to hang out and just drink.
Sure.
Same goes for a beer scene. You can't have a beer scene that only makes weird stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, you got to establish some kind of a base, and then these other things can start to happen. And we're starting to hit that point where other things can happen.
So in kind of the circle of things, do you think that we're starting to reach that the almost top of the circle to where almost every brewery will or should have food, and then eventually that wheel will keep turning to where you'll get
that cut and dry. But
no. All of this is so fuzzy and gray and blurred. But you'll get the shift to where now everyone, and I say everyone, air quotes, it's not everyone, but you get a lot of these breweries going, we absolutely need a food option. So that's getting to that top of the circle to where, air quotes, every brewery has a food option. And then eventually it'll start going back down the other side to where you'll get a place that goes, no, we want to focus on beer. There are enough local restaurants, whatever, nearby that people can bring food in, but we don't want our space to be, I don't want to say dual purpose,
I think that
but you know what I mean? Like,
there's a number there, and I don't know what that split is.
Sure.
We'll call it 70-30.
Sure.
70% of breweries need to have a reliable, good food option that you can walk in and you know you're going to get it. Then those 30% outside of that don't have to have that. And then there's that 1% that can say, you can't even have food in this building. Like, if you're coming in here to drink, you're drinking, we don't allow food in our door. Like, that's where I'm saying.
I don't think that... I would hope that there aren't any places that would say no. But sure, no, I get that.
That outlier side.
Right, to where it's 100%, this building is for beer, period.
Yeah.
Nothing else comes in.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know that I want that extreme, but that's what I'm saying.
I don't
think that it enables that extreme.
I definitely, I don't think it's, to your point, Julia, I don't think it's cut and dry. I don't think it's linear. I don't think it's circular. I don't think it's a bell curve. I think it's sort of a mix of all of that, which I think is what your point was, is that there's going to have fringes from one side to the next, and you're going to have sort of the identity of the majority of them in the middle somehow, and then but that identity in the middle, it's not going to look like BJ's Brewhouse. The 70% of the breweries in this area 10 years from now are not going to look like BJ's Brewhouse. But they may be the food may be as important as the beer.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's really cool. I love the option to have food wherever I go to drink, just because it means I can, like we were saying earlier, I can stay there longer. I can drink more. I can, plan my lunch, my dinner, whatever around.
My kids like going there more when there's food. My wife likes going there more when there's food. Like,
sure, right.
Right.
I mean, if there's not, then it's kind of okay, well, what are we going to eat either before or after? And if you're eating after, okay, well, at what point do we need to stop drinking to make sure we can get to the food safely, whatever.
It's so cool to think that you could stack one experience on top of another, though, right?
For sure.
Like somebody could open up and they're just tapas. And you start out there, and then you go somewhere and you have something a little bit more filling, and then you go somewhere that maybe someplace opens and all they do is desserts. The
dessert place is next to the sake place, which is next to the brewery.
And
I'm in.
To think about stacking experiences on top of each other on a fun evening, that's exciting.
So I guess to kind of close out the Cincy Brewery News, this mini episode about, again, shout out to Urban, to Grainworks, Braxton, Covington, Listerman, soon to be Alexandria, who are all now doing more or have re-provided food solutions to their clientele.
That makes it sound very
I know
medical.
It did. As soon as I said, I'm like, yeah, no, that's not what I want to use.
Not
but
wrong.
Hey, you know what? It is what it is. I'll kind of try to end this with one question about food in breweries, in the space that you're drinking. And this is 100% opinion preference. Would you like to see places just do more of appetizer, finger food, bar food kind of stuff, salads, wings, whatever? Or do you prefer, if there's a food option, that it is potentially full-on entrees, like a full meal?
So, first off, I'm a little offended that you included salads in that category. So it almost makes me not want to vote for that, but that's what I want. Finger foods and
some people enjoy
bar
salads.
Foods. Yeah, okay. I'm not going to take away from people that want a salad, but that's not in the same category as wings.
No, it's definitely not. But for some people,
that's fine. I don't want it. I don't want a salad with my beer.
Mark
salad.
There's no wrong answer. That's purely just in general, because some days you want to go and have a big fucking burger with your beer, and other days you're like, I just want to nibble on some wings or just some fries or just something, whatever.
I mean, I like the opportunity for variety. So I guess I'm going to say with that, if we can get 70% of the breweries on board with doing one way, shape, or form, either small bites, full on food, or just something other.
You need all of it. You need that place that is the finger food place, and you need that place that's the dinner place, and you need that place that's the crazy wild sour beers, and you need that place that's the lagers, and you need all of those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want everybody who wants to dive into that or continue to hone in on what you're doing from a food perspective to just really lean in, understand what that range is, and just make it good. And I think for a lot of places too, the question should always come up is, are we offering too much? Could we be better at offering just a little bit less? And maybe you could put one more thing on the menu, or maybe you should take one more thing off. Just ask yourself that question and answer it for yourself, and just be true to whatever that identity is.
Sounds good. Yeah, again, huge shout out to all the local breweries with their food options, the ones that are just starting, the ones that have had food options in the past and are reintroducing them. Let us know what you think about food and breweries, because it is a pretty huge topic. I mean, we're almost 25 minutes in, and we could have talked about this for another hour probably. Truth Beer Pod on all your favorite social media platforms, including all of our episodes on YouTube, truthbeerpod.com. Throw us a couple bucks at the blue Buy Us a Pint link, and enjoy our full episode on Friday. See you guys soon.
See you.